You order from your phone with 3 taps, and half an hour later, there's hot food at your door. Behind that simple experience sits a business model that's remarkably fragile and, more often than people assume, unprofitable. Most of the world's biggest food delivery companies still aren't profitable years after launch. So, how does a company moving millions of orders a day fail to make money? And when it does turn a profit, where does that profit actually come from? In this episode, we'll break down a food delivery company's revenue model, courier costs, technology expenses, marketing wars, and the secrets of the few players that actually turn a profit. Let's get into it. A food delivery company's revenue model is far more complex than a pizzeria's because the company doesn't make food at all. It's a middleman connecting three parties: the restaurant, the courier, and the customer. The first revenue source is commission from restaurants. When a restaurant signs onto the platform, a cut of 15 to 30% of every order goes to the platform. This is the company's largest and most stable revenue line. Second, the delivery fee charged to the customer. This fee, which varies by distance, demand, and congestion, is meant to both cover courier pay and generate extra revenue for the company. Third, a service fee or platform fee, a small amount added per order, separate from the delivery fee that customers usually don't even notice. Fourth, advertising and promoted placement revenue. Restaurants pay extra to appear near the top of the app. In cities with heavy competition, this has become an extremely profitable revenue line for the company. Fifth, subscription models. Membership plans offering unlimited or discounted delivery for a flat monthly fee keep customers locked into the platform and create a steady, predictable revenue stream. Sixth, additional services some companies have built: grocery delivery, pharmacy orders, even ghost kitchens, brands that exist only to sell through the platform with no physical storefront. This diversification keeps the company from depending on a single revenue channel. So, a food delivery company's total revenue is really the sum of 6 different channels, and each one has a very different profit margin. Commission revenue runs high margin, while delivery fee revenue often barely covers the courier cost. Sometimes it doesn't cover it at all. How these channels weigh against each other shifts with the company's growth stage. A newly launched platform might offer low or zero delivery fees to acquire users. During that period, revenue relies almost entirely on restaurant commission. As the platform grows and gains market power, it can gradually raise delivery fees and bring advertising revenue online. Ad revenue creates a particularly interesting dynamic. The fee a restaurant pays to appear higher in the app is effectively buying a competitive edge over other restaurants. That reduces visibility for small restaurants without ad budgets, while creating a nearly cost-free, high-margin revenue stream for the platform. At some large platforms, this single line item accounts for a significant share of total profit. Subscription revenue has also become increasingly strategic in recent years. A customer paying a flat monthly fee tends to order more often to make the most of free delivery, which boosts order volume for the platform while lowering the odds that customer switches to a rival. For some companies, subscription revenue is especially valuable precisely because it's low margin but guaranteed cash flow. Courier payments are a food delivery company's single largest expense line, typically making up 35 to 45% of total costs. Couriers are usually classified as independent contractors, meaning the company doesn't pay them a fixed salary, but a variable rate per order or per hour. This model gives the company flexibility. Fewer couriers are active during slow hours, while incentive payments pull more couriers onto the street during peak demand. But that flexibility has a cost. The rate paid per courier constantly shifts with fuel prices, urban traffic congestion, and delivery distance. Companies frequently use algorithmic optimization to keep the average cost per courier low. Batching multiple orders onto the same route lets a courier complete more deliveries per trip, driving down the per unit cost. Courier incentives are a separate cost line of their own, especially when entering new cities or to avoid losing couriers to a rival platform. Companies pay extra bonuses to couriers. These bonuses can grow the courier pool quickly in the short term, but can create an unsustainable cost over the long run. Courier turnover is another important factor. Due to low pay or difficult working conditions, couriers frequently switch platforms. The marketing and incentive budget spent to acquire new couriers further drives up total courier cost. Insurance and safety costs also fall under this line item. Courier accidents, damage compensation, and insurance policies that have become mandatory in some countries are an added cost the company has to absorb, one that's been trending upward in recent years under regulatory pressure. The cost difference between bicycle, scooter/motorcycle, and car couriers is also worth noting. Bicycle couriers can be cheaper and faster for short urban distances, while motorcycle couriers cover longer distances more efficiently. Companies try to optimize this courier mix based on a city's geography to bring down total cost. Idle time is another under-discussed issue on the courier side. Time a courier spends waiting to pick up an order from a restaurant or waiting for the next order after a delivery usually goes unpaid, but still eats up a significant share of the courier's total working hours. Platforms that shorten restaurant prep time and forecast demand more accurately reduce this idle time, improving both courier satisfaction and operational efficiency. In the end, courier costs are the single most critical variable determining whether the company can turn a profit. Shaving even a few cents off the cost per courier can create a massive difference at a scale of millions of orders, which is why large companies invest heavily in route optimization and demand forecasting. A food delivery company is fundamentally a technology company. So, server costs, software development, and data infrastructure form a significant part of total expenses. The app itself is a complex system that displays restaurant menus, assigns orders to couriers, calculates routes, and processes payments. Keeping the system running requires large engineering teams, server costs, and constant updates. Customer service is an invisible but expensive part of the operation, too. The support team handling wrong deliveries, cold food, or delay complaints generates both labor cost and refund/compensation cost. At scale, managing thousands of daily complaints becomes a serious operational burden. The dispatch algorithm, the system deciding which order goes to which courier, directly affects the company's profitability. A well optimized algorithm gets more deliveries out of each courier, lowering unit cost. A poorly optimized system leads to both courier dissatisfaction and unnecessary cost. Office expenses, regional operations centers, legal counsel, and regulatory compliance costs also fall under this category. For companies operating across multiple countries, especially, complying with each market's own legal requirements is a cost source in its own right. Data security and fraud prevention systems have also become an increasingly significant expense. Fake orders, stolen credit card use, or refund fraud through courier customer collusion translate directly into financial loss for the platform. Building AI-based systems to detect this kind of fraud requires both software development, and a competition in the food delivery sector is so intense that acquiring a new customer can sometimes cost more than the profit generated from that customer's first several orders. The industry calls this customer acquisition cost. Campaigns like 50% off your first order for a newly downloaded app grow the user base quickly in the short term, but book a direct loss for the company. The company only recovers that loss if the customer sticks around and orders regularly over time. Advertising spend can reach enormous scale too. Digital ads, influencer partnerships, outdoor advertising, and sports sponsorships form a multi-billion-dollar line item in large companies' budgets. Some of this spend is necessary for brand awareness, but in highly competitive markets, it becomes nearly mandatory. Falling behind while a rival advertises aggressively means losing market share. Loyalty programs fall into this category too. Point systems, free delivery memberships, and personalized discounts require constant spending to keep customers on the platform. While this spend looks like a cost, it's really treated as an investment that prevents customer churn. City-level price wars are also common, especially in developing markets. When multiple platforms compete in the same city, they all keep discounting against each other to grab market share, a dynamic that can push every player's profit margin to zero or even negative. Some companies accept this fight deliberately, aiming to push competitors out of the market over the long run, but that strategy requires serious capital strength. Customer retention cost matters just as much as acquisition cost. Convincing a customer to place their first order is hard enough, but keeping that customer on the platform is a separate battle because rival platforms constantly run new user campaigns. Even existing customers are regularly kept in place with win-back discounts. That means the marketing budget has to flow continuously, not just into acquiring new customers, but into retaining existing ones as well. Brand partnerships and special occasion campaigns are also a significant part of this budget. Special promotions tied to major sporting events, concerts, or holiday periods can drive a short-term order spike, but their cost often exceeds the additional revenue generated during that period. Companies treat this as a brand awareness investment rather than a direct profit line. Putting all these revenue and cost lines together, a food delivery company's profit margin is often even thinner than a pizza restaurant's, sometimes close to zero, sometimes negative. A typical breakdown looks like this. Commission and service fee revenue makes up the bulk of total revenue, while courier cost runs 35 to 45%, technology and operations 15 to 20%, marketing and customer acquisition 15 to 25%, leaving 2 to 10% net profit, or often a loss. The core reason for this thin margin is that the sector has a winner takes most dynamic. Becoming the market leader in a city makes it possible to ease up on competition and normalize prices, but companies typically grow at a loss on the way to that leadership position. That's why many large food delivery companies still aren't profitable years after going public. Investors are betting on long term market dominance rather than short term profit. The clearest path to profitability is economies of scale and diversification. A platform that reaches sufficient density in a city can get the same courier to complete more deliveries, lowering unit cost. Expanding into services like groceries and pharmacy also generates additional revenue from the same infrastructure, spreading fixed costs across more revenue. Density effect is the key concept here. If a neighborhood has a high enough order volume, one courier can deliver multiple orders on the same route at the same time, nearly cutting the per courier cost in half. That's why platforms typically concentrate on major city centers first, proving profitability in existing markets before expanding into lower density regions. Some companies also invest in the ghost kitchen or cloud kitchen model, improving both restaurant commission economics and courier efficiency at the same time. In this model, multiple brands produce out of the same physical kitchen and sell only through the platform. This shares rent costs while also shortening delivery distance, cutting courier cost. First risk, courier classification and regulatory pressure. Many countries are debating whether couriers should be classified as independent contractors or employees. If that classification changes, companies could face added costs like insurance, paid leave, and minimum wage requirements, potentially upending the entire business model. Second risk, restaurant dependency. Restaurants may leave the platform if they find the commission rate too high or choose to build their own direct ordering systems instead. A mass exodus of large restaurant chains from a platform can cause a serious revenue loss. Third risk, price wars and market saturation. Too many platforms competing in the same city can result in none of them turning a profit, a particularly heavy capital drain for companies entering new markets. Fourth risk, courier shortage or supply shock. During periods of economic recovery, people may shift toward more stable job opportunities, shrinking courier supply. That lengthens delivery times and drives customer dissatisfaction. Fifth risk, technical failures. An app crash, a payment system malfunction, or a bug in the dispatch algorithm can affect thousands of orders simultaneously, quickly turning into serious reputational and revenue damage. Sixth risk, customer disloyalty. Food delivery customers tend to be price sensitive and use multiple apps at once, which makes it hard for any single platform to build a loyal customer base and creates constant discounting pressure. Seventh risk, brand reputation and food safety. A courier delivering food late, spilling it, or violating hygiene rules poses a serious risk in an age when a single incident can spread rapidly on social media and damage the brand. The platform ends up bearing this reputational risk directly since it's held responsible for the delivery process even when the restaurant is at fault. Eighth risk, capital dependency. Companies that aren't profitable but keep growing need constant new funding rounds or debt to sustain operations. In periods of rising interest rates or reduced investor appetite, these companies can face a sudden cash crunch, leading to cost cuts, reduced courier incentives, or even market exits. Ninth risk, consolidation pressure. Because margins in this sector are so thin, small and mid-sized players eventually either merge or exit the market over time. In the long run, this risks fewer choices and higher prices for consumers, while surviving large players find it increasingly expensive to defend market share. Looking at what profitable platforms have in common, a few patterns stand out: winning market leadership in dense cities, algorithmically optimizing courier routes, building a loyal customer base through subscription models, and diversifying beyond a single service into groceries and pharmacy. Companies that reach economies of scale get more deliveries out of the same courier, lowering unit cost. Subscription models provide a steady, predictable revenue stream, and diversified companies spread fixed infrastructure costs across multiple services, boosting overall profitability. Another shared trait among successful platforms: constant tracking of efficiency metrics. Companies that monitor deliveries per courier hour, average delivery time, and order frequency per customer on a weekly basis can catch problems before they grow, a discipline that's become one of the most important conditions for survival in highly competitive markets. Running a food delivery company is a far more complex business than simply designing an app. It's an ecosystem walking a thin tightrope, trying to keep the restaurant, the courier, and the customer all satisfied at once. In the end, the platforms that survive and turn a profit aren't the ones delivering fastest. They're the ones that best understand and manage their unit economics. If you're thinking about starting a business in this sector or evaluating your own operation, we'd recommend putting your commission rate, cost per courier, and customer acquisition cost side by side in a single table. Growing without understanding your unit economics is one of the industry's most common mistakes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.